of RSF Radio. I'm your host, Joe Monday, and this is the podcast where we talk about what's been going on the front page of our Street Fighter throughout the week. Sorry if I'm going to cut this episode a little bit short this week. I'm probably not going to edge out to an hour and a half like last week. Not as much drama this week. Mostly just like sign-up stuffs. Mostly a little bit of CPT here and there. Not a whole lot of tech posted to the sub. Definitely not a whole lot of drama. But we can get into that later. There's a little bit of drama, but there's maybe reasons why I'm not going to touch on that on this particular episode. However, I'm also feeling like absolute garbage, so that's the other reason why it'll probably be a little bit short. So this trash human's going to try and not speak into and like be on for the next hour, so I'm probably going to, yeah. So again, apologies beforehand before we get into things. Speaking of getting into things, let's start it out. Let's just head right into it. Deep dive. I'm excited about this. We've had some really good responses for the R Street Fighter sponsorship. And as it looks, Neon is fully funded, and we're more than halfway to getting Tourniquet, aka M Lizard, funded to get them both to Combo Breaker. How it's really gonna work? Like, all of the numbers aren't exactly obvious, I guess, if you just go to the match arena. So like, if that's what you're basing things off of, saying, oh man, we're like pretty far away from reaching our second stretch goal, not exactly true, because there was carryover money from the Chris CCH Teespring, because we raised more money than we needed, and then there's also all of the t-shirt money for these guys has not been added to the pot yet, but as of right now it's like around $450. It'll probably shoot up tomorrow in terms of payouts. I saw a lot of people buying shirts today. They're really cool designs. I'm looking forward to getting mine in the mail. At least that Tourniquet M Lizard one. That Vega t-shirt is real sexy. But there's also other t-shirts there as well. Like, if you're down for like a Geefs Gym t-shirt, or if you just want to rep our Street Fighter, like, we got those. Or stickers, if you're into stickers, you want to highlight your stick with stickers. But just to be like full transparency, we're like probably a little closer to halfway to getting Tourniquet to Combo Breaker. The hotel and the flights are already booked for Neon. He's all taken care of. I'm excited about that. I'm ready to watch him compete and do well. I hope that he can. I hope we can get some more points at Combo Breaker. But the waiting game. Hopefully we can get this funded like right up front, because the quicker we can get it funded now, it is more likely that the flight from Korea will be cheaper if we book it earlier. I don't want to play that game of running up to the end date, trying to cash checks and make sure that he's got his money and making sure that he's got his travel plans all worked out. I want to let him know like months in advance so he can tell his work he's going to have some time off. But regardless, folks, that's the plan moving forward. And we're almost there. And so that's fucking awesome. Thank you guys so much. Speaking of the CPT, Russell's Challenge was this weekend. And it was a fun tournament, I think. I kind of... say what you will about the event itself, but I kind of liked the stage that they had. It was like super dark. It was like all the lights off, like a couple of accent lights up on stage. I don't know. There's this thing about that for me, if I were competing, that would really hurt my eyes. I would not be okay with that. Maybe I'm just like an old man. Maybe. I don't know. But create a little bit of mood lighting, and I like that tournament. A lot of really good sets came out of that, and I liked the top 8 for Street Fighter 5. It was fun. I think Bonchan really kicks. My favorite match from top 8 was probably Problem X versus Bonchan. That's a really good set to watch. If you watch one out of any of the sets, and then Luffy kind of trounced things there in Grand Finals. So that was quite a show. And again, congratulations to Luffy, Bonchan, Problem X for getting first, second, and third. But then, like, sadly, unfortunately, you look at 7th place, tied for 7th place, people who traveled quite a ways. John Takeuchi, that Rashid getting 1 point for 8th place, or tied for 7th. That's rough, man. That's so low, which is why it's more important to get out to. Well, I mean, it's important to go to as many of these things as possible, which is why I think it's important to send players who cannot travel so much, all around the world, to places where they can get actual CPT points, so maybe they can make a splash on the main stage. That's my goal with that. Another cool thing that we saw. Here's maybe the coolest thing we're going to talk about this week. That's right. Itazan back to Itabashi Zangief. Not this Itagale business I've been hearing so much of. But he played a set against John Takeuchi, and he's playing Zangief, and it warmed my heart. And he did a lot of like the cool new Zangief stuff too. He still got it. Zangief, actually, I probably like Zangief better in that matchup, honestly. I think that he can deal with Rashid in the neutral a little bit better than Abigail can. And I don't necessarily think that Abigail's damage really makes up for it. Zangief's got it. And this is a cool set. The whole set is, I think, out there somewhere. I think it might be linked here in the comments. But regardless, this just makes me happy. This makes me happy to see. And it should make you guys happy as well, because Itabashi Zangief living up to his namesake. I like it. Okay. Next bit of news. On to Capcom stuff. So we all knew that the patch notes were not the end-all be-all of what was going on there. We all kind of figured that there was. This is how it is every time they have patch notes. Every time they release, like, there's a big thing coming, like, here you go. They always add little things to it that are super useful and, like, great for the community. Like, we've talked about this in a couple episodes before, such as, like, Battle Lounge being able to filter by connection. That's a new thing that they didn't announce. That is a new thing to the game. But turns out they're actually keeping things up to date on the CFN. So actually, if you scroll down, this is just funny to me. But here's their original stuff. All they talk about on the April 4th patch is DLC, Premier Pass, and the additional costumes with Jury, Urian, and Manat. Then they talk about balance adjustments and the changes in LP not reflected upon returning to the main menu after ranked match. That's all they posted about. And then here in red, this long list you see takes up the whole page. All of this stuff was added just today, of stuff that has been in the game for like a little over a week now. All this stuff's in the game for a little over a week now, and is just now being added to. Oh, sorry about that. Just now being added to the list. Things such as they implemented new releases on the information menu. I noticed that because like I got a whole buttload of notifications being like, what the hell is this? And I looked into it and it was like, we got new releases, and I'm like, oh, I don't give a fuck about that. But anyway, next thing they added, you can now restrict entry into battle lounges based on connection status. We've talked about that. Like, the community found that out on their own. It's like, fucking yes. Added the next 50 skip functionality on the friends list when in battle lounge. I found this one by accident because talked about this during the tournament, where it's triangle no longer brings up character information or player search. It's now square. It's now light punch, not medium punch. That does it, because medium punch, if you do that and then it scrolls 50 down. I guess that's. I suppose that's a good way of scrolling through, but it's still listed out by pages if you have more than 50. So I don't know. That seems odd still to me. It's still a bad system. Okay. If a disconnect happens during the match, the notification will be left in your message log, and you'll be able to view your opponent's profile. That's actually pretty important. And I hadn't noticed that because I don't really play ranked. But if you do, and someone disconnects, you actually don't get that mad. That doesn't. How it used to be was that you wouldn't be able to find them to put them on your ban list, but now you get a message and it has their fighter ID and you can ban them now. So that's a good thing that I hadn't seen before this. Sound effect plays at the rematch screen when the rematch comes up. I thought that this was a thing. I felt like I was going crazy because it's kind of loud. Like it's a loud like ting sound where I was like, oh, that's not a thing that happened before. It kind of threw off my audio balance during the stream. But anyway, button guide will display upon spectating a match in Battle Lounge. I also noticed this from the tournament because there's like that overlay during the start of each match, which like just kind of adds a layer of shittiness, which I wish I could turn off. Search and creation settings for Battle Lounge will be saved. I always thought that was. I thought that had already been a thing. If maybe I'm misinterpreting that in some way, because I just always thought that the settings were always saved. No, it was. I think that it was that way for creation, but I don't know if it was that way for search. But regardless, those are actually all the changes to the actual system, in addition to what was released on the 4th. So this is new news of old news. Thanks, Capcom. Anyway, moving on. Some of the tech that we're going to talk about. We're talking about some Balrog tech. A little bit of Balrog tech shared on the sub this week. Two things here. Javits posted this thing, which is Boxer meaty hit confirms into V-Trigger 2 command grab. These are basically, he went through, tested all these block strings, or hit confirms, as it were, and tested them canceling into V-Trigger 2 to get that extra damage. Shows which ones work and which ones don't work by the check mark, and this is just good, useful information for anyone who plays Balrog. It also keeps in mind, like, what did they wake up with? What did they get hit with? Like, if they were hit with a backdash, maybe some things don't work. That makes sense. If it's not perfectly timed meaty, like this wouldn't be meaty, and you hit him with a slower button like crouching medium punch, and they've backdashed, they're out a couple frames. It's going to throw off your range on your command grab. I get it. I've lived that life. I live that grappler lifestyle. So there's that, of course, from Javits, but also this week, a whole rundown of shit from Brian F. I think I saw this one coming from a mile away because I love what Brian F does. He's been one of the most prolific Balrog tech guys. He always stays super informative about pretty much all Balrog tech, and he shares it all in video. So if you play Balrog or have trouble against Balrog, you have no excuse because this channel exists. So he goes through all the changes about Balrog, shows like what works now, what still is broken, what doesn't work. It's a good video. It's a good 4-minute clip of everything that's different, shared in text, so it's all good. Alright. Next bit. This is from Sky Sports, esports news. A lot of people saw this thread already. A lot of discussion on the subreddit and on Twitter, but the article, Female Street Fighter V Player Sheds Light on Lack of Representation. Audrey Irissa Rozique, the only female player in this year's Gfinity Elite Series, says gender is not a barrier to professional gaming. And people had some opinions on this one. And I know what you're saying. Joe, let's deep dive on this one, because this is where the drama is, and there's some drama to be had there. People have said some real fucked up shit on the sub, but we're not going to get into that because that was last week. I'm all about positivity this week, and in fact I'm going to hold off on talking about this topic specifically. Because next week, big announcement right now, is that we're getting Emily, aka Jamelian, from Combo Queens, to talk about this and other subjects next week. Probably recorded on Tuesday, but don't know if it'll be released on Thursday. I still need to work out that schedule, like on my own end, but If I can record it and get it out on Tuesday, that might happen, depending on how much Street Fighter news happens in between now and then. But I'm looking forward to talking to her about this topic, because I know that she has some differing opinions on this, and has also has her thumb on the pulse of, you know, what women think about this topic, being a part of, or a co-founder of Combo Queens. And also, if you're a lady listening to this podcast and you are in the FGC, you consider yourself a fan of fighting games, and you don't follow Combo Queens or Jamilian on Twitter or Mama Dow on Twitter, you should do that now. Or like Purple Sharpie. Listen, this list could go on and on, but like, start there, and it will branch out immediately of a network of other very strong women in the scene that I think are definitely worth follow. Or if you just want to like get the opinions of those people as a dude, I think that's appropriate. But anyway, we'll talk to her next week, and I'm looking forward to it, and you should too. So sorry if you were looking forward to drama. No drama, just business. All talk, all sports. So next bit of information is that the Capcom Pro Tour Online signups are now available. They're open now. You can go on to the Capcom Pro Tour website and look at how to sign up for that through Level Up Live. They're running the whole event this year. Release parts of it, I should say. Most of it's managed by them, but you can find signups at Capcom Pro Tour's website. I should really get the actual name of this. What is this? CapcomProTour.com. That's where you would find all that information, because signups are now available. So if you want to get on that and you want to get your 1 point for tied for 7th, you go right ahead. Also signups for E-League Cross Battle 5. They're running the Street Fighter 5 Open, and look at this format. $50,000 prize pools split across 2 seasons. I mean, that's still a lot of money. Like, granted, it's split. That's split money, but like $50K for competing in an online tournament, one specifically that is not bracket based. I think that's important to note here, is that it's a ladder. I know that the people at Battlefy are big fans of running ladders. So basically what it is and how it works is, because people in the FGC typically are not used to this format, you show up during a certain time, and the Battlefy website says you play this opponent right now out of a pool of players, and you compete against that player. If you win, you like move up in the ladder, you get put on a higher echelon, and you compete against pretty much as many people it's basically their own ranking. You know, it's its own little ranked system outside of Street Fighter V ranking, and you go through that over a course of a couple weeks. I should actually look at the dates here, because it's like, where is it? Here's the information. Sorry, I should have had this written down in front of me. I thought I would be able to like find it right away in talking about this, but unfortunately I cannot. So let's actually go to the link at Battlefy. I actually like Here's the thing. Battlefy is a good system. There are some things that broke for us, so we haven't been using the last couple weeks for our own tournaments, but we've run things like this for them in the past, and it's good. It's most of the people who have competed they've had a good experience. So let's see. They break things out by region. I think that's super smart. They have grand champions. So this is on April 14th. So East and West. This is like fucking 2 days. This is this weekend. Sign up now. Register now. The first ladder is the 21st through the 13th. So what is that? 21st through the 13th. That's about like 1, 2, 3. It's about 3 weeks. 3 weeks time. That's a grip. That's a lot of time to compete in the Season 1 ladder. Now granted, it's not like that entire time you're competing. It's like certain hours of the day or the week. Like you show up and you compete in like ladder competition time. And that time will be administrated by a couple people. Will not be streamed because it's a Like it's pretty much impossible to do that in that format. But there's the schedule, there's your registration buttons, and this is cool. I don't know, it's cool to see people like reach out to communities this way and just say, hey, E-League and Battlefy teaming up, the buttload of money, get first place champion gets $9,000 and travel to a hotel and accommodations to Atlanta for the grand final. So it's a ladder leading up to tournaments. So that's kind of awesome. All right. Oops. So that's all the information this week. That's like all the topics that I felt like worth bringing up from last week into this week. And again, there's probably a much larger conversation to be had about Ursa and her opinions on women in gaming. But again, we'll have Jamilian here next week to talk about that, or sometime maybe next Tuesday. We'll see. Which leads us to everyone's favorite part of the week is the shitpost of the week. And this week's shitpost of the week goes to Nicki Minaj with Chun-Li. I'm glad I set up that joke. So Nicki Minaj came out with the new single, trying to promote her new album. And it's, I don't know, much like Chun-Li, the character, it's pretty mid-tier. It's a pretty mid-tier song. Like, doesn't do a whole lot for me. The loop's okay. I mean, it's fine. The verses they're all right. It's just middle. Like, if this came on, I would listen to it, but I'm not gonna like seek this one out or think about it for much longer than, for the length of this the remainder of this podcast. Like, this is all I'm gonna think about it, and then I'll totally forget about it and move on to something else. I don't know. It's cool that someone's touching on these cultural touchstones that we all have, and it's cool to see Chun-Li represented in other forms of media. And if you like the song, guess what? Here's the other thing. If you like this song, I'm not sorry for my opinion, because it's cool to have that opinion that you like this song. That's fine. Music is pretty subjective in that way. So, like, go ahead. If this is your jam, if you want to wake up tomorrow morning to this and just on a loop on your commute, you drive at 5, then you got right. I'm not going to judge you for that. Like, that's the thing about this song, is that it's so mid-tier that I like. If someone says that this is their favorite song, I'd be like, all right, well, you probably don't like to think about music all too much, but that's fine. That's okay. That's fine. Much like this song is fine. But go listen to it. It's okay. I can't sample it right now on this podcast because I'll probably get like content ID'd and taken down off of iTunes and whole mess of business, because the music industry as it is at that level is pretty fucking savage. So anyway, go give it a listen if you haven't already, but I think it's pretty mid-tier. If you disagree, let me know. I'd like that. Here's the other thing, is that I actually like Nicki Minaj. She's alright. Like, I like a lot of her older stuff, and the way that she rapped, it kind of reminded me of like the way it was like UK grime would rap, or like and like because of that, like it had that in my mind. But anyway, I'm not going to get into my history with Nicki Minaj. I think she's alright. I think she's fine. She makes good music, and seems like a pretty cool artist in my opinion. But regardless, on to the next bit. I had to bring this one up. This is FGC History, and this is honestly probably the best post for FGC History, because in fact what we typically do is find a match or set or tournament or highlight from the past, from FGC past, and say, here you go give this one a watch. Let's see what you got. What is there to see within the FGC? But 121 Gigawatts put together this whole list of the most watched FGC content. And it's pretty extensive. Like, it's like 3 pages of videos that are pretty much like required watching for anyone who wants to, keep up. If you want to like a brief history on some of the dumb shit that the FGC has gotten into, it's very good. Like Wombo Combo up there at number 1. I think that makes sense because that one's been pervasive outside of the FGC as well. Where You At, of course. The Daigo Perry, obviously, that one, it's a classic. This one surprised me, up in number 3 with 5.7 million views. Viscant versus LTG. I mean, I'm not really surprised because of the implications of that video and how hype things got around that match. That's all right. That's fine. But there's some cool stuff here that, like, when I was reminded of it, was just, I don't know, it's a trip through memory lane. So, and there's things on this list that we have talked about on this podcast before. I don't think I've talked, like Bonchan versus Valle. I think that's a great match. Valle versus Daigo. It's a great match. K-Brad Wolfcrown. Good stuff. Something on here that I thought was pretty cool to see. Born Free's interview with Bonchan. That's cool. That was like his like big breakout interview that like really put him on the map. I mean, he had been doing video work and interviews for quite some time before then, but it wasn't until then where people were like, oh, okay. Well, at least like the community at large decided that what he was doing was really something special. Which, by the way, I didn't bring up any of his... see, now I'm reminded of something I wanted to talk about. I didn't bring up any of his interviews this week on the podcast because all of them are out now from NCR. So if you want to go back and watch them, I think Infiltrations is really good. PR Balrogs is really good. Yohosi's is really good. Among other ones, Bonchan's is alright. Bonchan said that he was going to be streaming some Bloodborne, and I think he tweeted about that today. I was at work and couldn't watch him play some Bloodborne, but I'll probably watch those. I'll probably watch those replays. Watch Bonchan play some Bloodborne. That would be pretty interesting. Kirk Hammer for life, of course. Anyway, that's a podcast, folks. I would recommend digging through this list, and it's funny because it... Actually, not funny. It's actually pretty sad that this post got pretty much buried. Like, it was posted yesterday, and it didn't get much love in terms of upvotes, so it dropped off the front page pretty quickly. But there's just... I look at this list so fondly. Woshige No, Justin Wong Never Give Up, of course, Bionic Marn. Oh, man. This one just makes me smile looking at all these videos, and it's cool that someone compiled this list, and I'm sure there's much more that could be added to this list as well, and if I know 121 gigawatts, he probably is adding to this list. But that's the show, folks. Again, sorry, I apologize. I told you it was going to be short, but again, my face feels like it was hit by like a dumpster truck, a big dumpster truck filled with glass. But it backed into my face with the glass end. Anyway, that's a show. Join us next week for another edition of RSF Radio. Again, you can find me at Super Joe Monday on Twitter or at Reddit SF, which is the official Twitter of our Street Fighter. And if you haven't already, please, I encourage you, hit up the Neon and Tourniquet fundraiser. We're almost there. We can almost get this man from Korea to share a hotel with some dude from Atlanta in Chicago. That's like literally what we're doing. I've never spelled it out that way before, but I think that's fucking rad. That's cool, and I want to do that. I want to hit it up. I want to get that as soon as possible. So I'm excited about this, and I can't wait to already hit this goal by next week. So we'll see you either Tuesday or next Thursday. Again, tune into the tournaments, which take place on Mondays and Fridays. But that's the show, folks. Until next week, take care.